Let's now figure out the why behind this improbable win with Zack Tawatari, former Texan Seth Payne from SportsRadio 610, and Paul Gallant from the Gallant Says podcast, who resembles the future mayor of New York City at times.
That's why I shaved the beard. I don't want anyone thinking that I'm him, because I just don't want the responsibility.
It's a glorious mustache, Paul. I didn't think you had it in you. Good job. Grown up.
And now, the big board has the emoji which best describes what happened Sunday. Seth, which emoji are you?
I'm side shuffling over, and I'm happy, but it just got me wondering. The Texans ran the ball really well and really effectively in the fourth quarter. They protected the passer, and they're playing offensive linemen that I think they may have picked up at the bus station. I don't know what the plan is or how any of this worked, but somehow it did today.
All right, Paul, your turn.
All right, well, for most of this game, I was that because I think we all were hypnotized and transfixed by yet another miserable Sunday for the Houston Texans. But at the end, you know what? I'm happy. I'm not complaining about anything, even though there was a lot to complain about because they somehow won that game. They had no business winning.
They did.
I'm just so torn. It's so hard to pick one this week, but I am going to go with a happy face. I feel like, though, if I had like a Venn diagram between these two because of the shock and awe of the Texans crossing the goal line today, I mean, Davis Mills really should. Maybe he should run for mayor because his stock has never been higher.
Oh, all right. And now let's get the emoji from Luis Ortiz, who is at NRG. Luis, which emoji are you picking?
Guys, my emoji reacts is the one with the wide eyes and the jaw dropped wide open because he had to see it to believe it. Look, early in the game, it looked like the game was already over. They start off with 2 big turnovers. How about that kick return for a touchdown? And you found yourself scratching your head through several moments in this game. But they come up big in the final stretch. Davis Mills with 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And even then, we had seen this story before, right? The Texans maybe losing to a last-minute field goal, but the defense shows up big, and they seal the win.
All right, that's a good one. I think I'm here as well because things change so dramatically within a matter of an hour, so I'm picking that one as well. So that's what we're saying, and now here's what the Texans were saying in the locker room. And now, this incredible fourth quarter. What changed? What changed from the first 3 quarters?
I think at least one of the things that changed was that the run game really started to click. You look at that first touchdown drive, and they had 5 out of the 6 plays that got them from about the 25 to the other 25 were all runs, and they were all for 5 yards or more. And I think the combination of having Woody Marks, who can attack the perimeter, and Nick Chubb, who can run up the middle, and kind of create a complementary effect there, coupled with the Jaguars defense just getting tired, the Texans wearing them down, and I was really surprised. I was surprised the Texans were able to run the ball that effectively versus that run defense with the Texans' offensive line, but it clicked.
What you were saying about them being tired, totally agree with it. I mean, the Jaguars had the ball for 6 plays before that last 3-play drive. And if that's all they're going to give for help for that defense, I mean, what do you think is going to happen out there? Trevor Lawrence is just not going to help you out at all. So I think it was a lot of that. But also, I mean, over the course of this game, when the Texans actually had the football, they were converting 3rd downs. And the Jaguars had a lot of short fields in this game, so there wasn't a lot of time for their offense to get into rhythm.
Yeah.
Certainly the way this defense performed and the fact that they were able to keep the defense of the Jaguars on the field, I think that played a major role.
Listen, you never give up. You play until the final play.
Certainly
right?
none of us
You play
did.
until the final whistle.
Yeah.
That's
None
what
of us had to talk ourselves into paying attention.
I mean,
to
all
the
those
third
people
quarter.
booing, those weren't boos,
No,
those were cheers.
No.
So D'Amico mentioned, will this be a springboard, or he hopes this is going to be a springboard. Will this be a springboard?
Well, you have to hope it will be, at least going into that game against the Tennessee Titans. And you feel a lot better about a game against the Buffalo Bills since they got smoked by the Miami Dolphins today. But, man, it's tough to take any stock out of these Texans wins against teams that you don't think are very good.
Yeah, I think this game to me was a little bit more indicative about what the Jaguars are. Remember, the Jaguars have a winning record, but their first few games, they had a boatload of takeaways on defense, and we all know how much that helps. They're flawed offensively, and defensively they have some weaknesses right now. But you're also out there with your backup quarterback in Davis Mills. I had to keep reminding myself of that. And you didn't have your starting right guard and your starting right tackle. So I don't know how much this will be a springboard as much as, hey, it's getting a win in a really tough and gritty fashion. well, your starting quarterback and the two best offensive linemen are out. So hopefully that's a good sign.
It doesn't really ease any of the negativity that I think in some ways.
Are you talking specifically about the 2 timeouts they had to take to avoid delay of games?
Oh my gosh. Or the 2 false starts.
Or the false starts at the end of the game.
They can't be at the 1-yard line and score. They had to move back.
It has to be further
Those
back.
are strategic penalties.
It gave them more room to operate at the end of the game. So I still think there's a lot of issues here, and yes, a win was great, but when you really dig deep into the numbers and some of the issues that they've had previously, some of those issues were also present on Sunday.
I think that at the very least, maybe it's not a springboard, but at the very least, they're not digging a further hole this week. So from a psyche perspective, I feel like just at least seeing themselves get across the goal line was helpful in terms of having a good vision of the next week.
And I think you're exactly right in terms of psyche. 3-6, it's hard. No matter how much you try to focus on the next game and nothing else. 3-6, you know what you're up against, especially the way the division is this year. So now all of a sudden, you knock the second place team down a little bit. You're a little bit closer to 500. And look, you don't need a springboard to beat Tennessee. God help you if you need a springboard to beat Tennessee, but that's the next opponent.
Maybe a springboard for Nick Caley. I mean, there were a couple of plays in this game where Nick Caley drew some plays up, and you're like, oh, he can do things like that. That was nice. Didn't happen all game long, but hey, I'll take that.
They outscored a team 26-0 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I didn't know this team had it in them. I'm still curious exactly how. Look, Jared Patterson was sitting on the bench the whole first part of the season while they rotated Laken Tomlinson and Juice Scruggs to figure out who really is the best left guard. And then all of a sudden today, neither of those guys are on the field. Jared Patterson starting at left guard, and some guy named Sal was at right guard for the first series or two. I don't know, understand, or pretend to have a clue exactly how they're making the decisions on the offensive line.
I just couldn't believe somebody got to a pylon today, right? Instead of just running the ball 4 times up the middle every time you're at the 1-yard line, they managed to get to a pylon today. It was nice, like Paul was saying, to see Nick Caley have some other ideas.
And no Rosencopter. I thought a Rosencopter might happen. Didn't happen.
There was a near Rosencopter last
close.
week with Davis Mills. Yeah. Good job.
Good job, Davis.
And you mentioned the offensive line. Will we see changes moving forward? Does this change or reveal anything about this offensive line other than the fact is they're going to continue to find the right guys?
Okay, well, look, when Ed Ingram comes back, he's right guard.
Yeah.
When Titus Howard comes back, he's right tackle. We've got 4 different guys now on the current roster who they've started at guard. So is it going to be a 4-man rotation? I don't know. We'll wait and see what kind of wizardry they come up with.
It really feels like they've got a wheel in the locker room and they just spin it, whether it's kick returner or it's offensive lineman, and let's just see if a guy works who's in there. And if he's a Patriot, there's a real chance it'll work out.
It is, isn't that what they do in crew? They just kind of mix people around and see who works best together. That's what they're doing. We're operating the offensive line like they're crew.
But,
which is a tough sport.
To your guys' points, right? I mean, this really says where the Texans are at, right? We look back to the beginning of the season.
They don't want to say that.
They don't, but we look back to the beginning of the season. We knew the offensive line was going to be an issue. Oh my gosh, it's an issue. I can't believe it this far into the season.
Well, that's the hazards of looking at Ed Ingram and saying, hey, look, he wasn't a high-priced pickup and he worked out. Yeah, but that's what happens when you have 3 guys or 4 or 5 guys all competing for interior offensive line positions, none of whom are highly coveted. 1 or 2 of them are going to work out. But there's 3 starters you need in there, and that's the part that's frustrating.
You spent a lot of money on Cam Robinson this offseason, and what'd you get for that?
Yeah.
And now we are not done talking Texans, much more, including our feelings on the trade deadline. Have they changed at all since the trade deadline? It's ahead on Sports Extra. Back here at the desk now to tackle this question. Lack of moves at the trade deadline. Has any of your opinions changed over the last 5 days?
I'm trying hard not to be swayed about today's game, but I did like what I saw out of Woody Marks and Nick Chubb versus a very good and stout Jaguars run defense. Makes me feel a little bit better about not spending a third-round pick to get Breece Hall of the Jets in here on an expiring contract. I would have liked them to have seen him do something. I mean, you can't have anticipated Joe Mixon, Cade Stover, and Brevin Jordan all being out. And those guys have been huge hits to what the Texans are trying to accomplish this year. You're going to be paying Will Anderson. You're likely going to be paying C.J. Stroud. I would have been okay with spending a little bit extra draft capital and money right now on an immediate fix.
I don't think any one player was going to fix things, but to what you were saying just a moment ago, when Woody Marks was a little bit slow to get up early in this game, I was like, wait, oh man, are we about to see Daria Gunbowale? Are we about to see Dameon Pierce? So thankfully he's healthy. I do wonder about the depth at that position because Woody Marks, if he gets hurt, yikes.
Great teams have pretty good depth, and that's, I think, an issue with this team at this point. So I still think that they should have done something. I know offensive line is hard to address mid-season during the season, but something.
I'll tell you what, though, if they salvaged or saved their picks now, they better get an offensive lineman or three in the draft. They did a good job with Ariante Aristry. Ariante Aristry is really coming along. Spend a few more of those guys. Now you've got some confidence, and you can draft another offensive lineman.
Yeah, what all you guys are saying, I mean, I really don't think that one player would have made the difference, but it would have been nice to see them add somebody, right? I mean, this team, this organization just seems that they're like kind of constantly playing with fire and thinking, oh, we've got all this versatility in other places that can make up for the fact that we don't necessarily have depth, but it's clearly hurting them thus far into the season.
Well, and especially when what really hurts is you might say, well, hey, they already made some trades in the offseason. Yeah, for Christian Kirk, who's not around much, and for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I don't know where on the physical earth he is right now. A lot of trades haven't worked out this year.
Well, would it have changed the vibe inside the locker room? I mean, you've been in a locker room, right? Yeah, you played. Would it have changed the attitude?
No, this is the biggest mistake we always make is that we always want the football trade deadline to be like the baseball trade deadline, and it's just not. Yeah, the football players don't sit around, thinking about they got to bring guys in. Back when Dallas Keuchel was all upset at the trade deadline, the year they eventually brought in Justin Verlander, back when there used to be a second trade deadline, you don't generally have talk like that on a football team.
There you have it. Texans pull it off, a wow game. And now we say goodbye to Seth Payne from Sports Radio 610 and Paul Gallant from the Gallant Says podcast. And Paul, you will be on Sports Radio 610.
That's right, 2 to 6 tomorrow afternoon.
Nice, love it. All right, guys, thanks for being on Sports Extra. Appreciate it.
Anytime.